The transition to Willow Creek had been, on the surface, seamless. The leafy streets, the meticulously maintained lawns, the hushed whispers of contented domesticity, it was an aesthetic ideal, a picturesque escape from the chaos of the city. The house I had purchased was quaint, a two-story colonial with a wraparound porch, bathed in the dappled sunlight that filtered through the mature oak trees lining the street. My immediate neighbor, Mr. Silas Blackwood, seemed to encapsulate everything that Willow Creek represented, a life of quiet contentment, a warm embrace of community, and a dedication to the simple pleasures of existence. He was the first to welcome me, his handshake firm, his smile genuine, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of experiences. He offered a plate of freshly baked cookies, his voice a comforting baritone, and within days, he'd become an indispensable part of my settling-in process. He provided me with the history of the neighborhood, tales of previous residents, the best local restaurants and places to shop. Mr. Blackwood made a point of familiarizing himself with my routines. He took a genuine interest in the progress I was making on my new home. He lent me tools, helped me with my garden, and even assisted in the installation of extra security measures, a sensible precaution, he assured me, against the occasional opportunistic visitor. He'd speak about his late wife, Margaret, with a tenderness that was both touching and a testament to his devoted character. He made certain to tell me how she loved that very garden. I felt embraced and welcomed, convinced I had discovered not just a new home but a true friend. The security, both literal and perceived, offered by Mr. Blackwood was a balm for my soul, especially as I navigated a new job and the solitude of my single life. My parents, living several states away, found immediate peace of mind, reassured by my unending praise of Mr. Blackwood. However, the veneer of idyllic serenity began to show cracks, subtle and almost imperceptible at first, like hairline fractures in a priceless vase. As the summer days began to wane, yielding to the muted colors and crisp air of autumn, a series of unusual occurrences began to plague my nights. I heard, emanating from Mr. Blackwood's property, a series of sounds which, at first, I dismissed as the common creaks and groans of an older house. There was a particular thud, often late at night, that I could neither place nor completely understand. Occasionally, I could detect an acrid, metallic scent, a faint, almost imperceptible odor that lingered in the air, briefly and then disappeared, its source remaining an enigma. I would inquire with Mr. Blackwood, expressing my unease over the nocturnal noises. Each time, he would offer an explanation, the settling of an old structure, a hobby, or a project he was working on. The plausibility of his answers, the sincere tone of his voice, left me feeling foolish for questioning them. I began to convince myself that my heightened sensitivity was a product of my own anxiety. I made a point of ignoring these nighttime sounds and strange smells. Then came the storm. The storm, a violent tempest that descended upon Willow Creek with a fury unlike anything I had previously witnessed. The wind howled, a relentless, keening lament that seemed to claw at the very fabric of reality. The rain fell in sheets, transforming the streets into rushing rivers. Amidst the cacophony, a particularly violent gust tore across Mr. Blackwood's property, causing a sharp, jarring crash. Then, a sudden, absolute silence. Concern, more acute than usual, pierced the veil of my complacency. I knew that Mr. Blackwood's basement window, which he had repeatedly claimed to have fully secured, was perpetually ajar for ventilation, a fact that he often mentioned in relation to humidity. A sudden, almost overwhelming instinct compelled me. I had to make certain he was all right, that his property was not damaged, that he himself hadn't been injured. Against the driving rain and the ferocious wind, I ventured outside. The elements fought against my progress, the wind a physical force attempting to drive me back. I fought the storm, turning towards the side of his home, heading towards his basement windows. As I approached, I saw it. The window, indeed, was ajar, a gaping, dark rectangle in the storm-ravaged wall. Driven by a sudden sense of urgency, I raised my phone, activating the flashlight, and peered into the darkness. The beam of light cut through the gloom, illuminating a space filled with ordinary objects. The clutter that I could see included old tools, cobweb-covered boxes, and a workbench. And then, my attention was arrested. On the far wall, partially obscured by shadows, was a door. A door that did not belong. It was not a simple access point. The frame had been reinforced with heavy-duty planks of wood and thick, industrial-grade bolts, a stark, incongruous presence in the otherwise mundane setting. My heart, I realized, had jumped into my throat. Just as the realization struck me, I heard a sound. Muffled, yet undeniable, it emanated from behind that formidable barrier. It was a cry, a sound that could best be described as a strangled sob, and then a moment of silence. The world seemed to go silent around me. The kindly face of my neighbor, the image of a man devoted to community and kindness, shattered into fragments. My life has been turned upside down. What would you do if you discovered your kind neighbor was hiding such a dark secret? Share your thoughts and predictions in the comments. If you're hooked on this chilling mystery, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any updates.